You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40, down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. The Seahawks getting ready to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Second matchup with them in the last 3 weeks. We are broadcasting from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bump, we're going to kick this thing off with some good news.
Okay.
Always got good news. Today, the Seahawks are bringing back Uchenna Nwosu. He's back on the roster, coming off IR. He's been one of the best defensive players since he's been in Seattle. He's had a tough go, though, this year, right?
Yeah.
He gets cheap-shotted at the end of the last preseason game. There's a flag on the play, hurts his knee, goes to IR. Comes back, and then immediately gets hurt in that first game. I believe it was a thigh injury that put him back on IR. He's now back. He's in the lineup, so I'm excited for him to be back, what he can do to this defensive line group. Bump, it could be scary.
It's nice, man, because the D-line group is playing at a high level already.
Right.
So now you're like, you're sitting back, you're chilling, you're feeling the vibe, and say, oh, by the way, number 10 is coming back. And we know that he's an emotional leader. He's a baller. I'm excited, and he doesn't need to be a hero. That's what's most important. You don't have to come in, have 3 or 4 sacks, and have an outstanding game. You come in, listen to your body, and just lead these dudes.
No, it should be great. Anytime you add something like that, that's like adding an all-pro, Pro Bowl player.
Yep.
So big ups to Uchenna Nwosu coming back. He also is a Seahawks nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year, so big ups to him for everything he does off the field. But let's get into these Arizona Cardinals. What's on tap?
What's on tap?
Cardinals bump 6-6, second place in the NFC West. They've lost to the Bills, the Lions, the Commanders, Packers, Seahawks, and Vikings. They did have a 4-game win streak in there, beating the Chargers, Dolphins, Bears, and Jets. They also beat the Niners and the Rams. So, Bump, when you look at this team, they've been up and down. For a while, we didn't know what to say about them. Are they good? Are they bad? What's going on? Then they win 4 games in a row. We start watching the film. Tough game against the Seahawks. They're a good football team. They definitely are a good football team, and for us, good thing for us, but not for them. They were unable to pull it out against the Vikings last week.
Yeah, the Rams are a good squad. The last couple weeks, they've turned the football over. Cardinals, thank you. They've turned the football over, and they haven't been great in the red zone. You do that, you kick field goals, you're going to lose ball games. But you're right. Let's focus on their game against the Vikings. The Vikings rallied from 13 points down to beat the Cardinals 23-23 on Sunday night for their 5th straight victory. I would say big ups Vikings. We're in the same conference, so y'all can chill. But it helped us out in the division, though. The game came down to the wire. The Cardinals took the lead 22-16 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game after a 16-play, 66-yard drive that ended up with a Chad Ryland field goal. Trailing by 6, Sam Darnold took the football and led the Vikings on that 8-play. My dude, I've been talking about him all year, man. Give him some talent. 8-play, 70-yard drive, ended with a 5-yard touchdown and Aaron Jones. That made the score 23-22. Sam Darnold, I've been saying this for years. Put him around some talent and some things are going to happen. I love the old heads balling this year.
Hey, yeah, he's back. He's got these boys 10-2. To finish that game, though, Bump, Darnold did his thing, and Kyler Murray did have a chance at the end of that game, got the ball back, 1:13 seconds on the clock, but it was eventually picked off by former Seahawks Shaquille Griffin. That ended the game. Cardinals lose. Murray, he's had an interesting couple weeks. He finished today 31 of 45, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 45 times throwing the football, I don't think is Kyler Murray's game.
It's a bit much.
Not that he can't do it, throw it through the air. I just think that's too much for what they want to do, especially being a top 10 rushing attack. James Conner led all ball carriers with 68 yards and 17 carries. Trey McBride, dude, we're going to talk about that boy.
Killing.
12 receptions for 96 yards.
Still ain't touched the end zone, though. Still ain't touched it.
Yeah, so he does have 1 touchdown. It's a rushing touchdown, and then he got 1 off a fumble. But through the air, 0, which is pretty wild.
It is.
But the Vikings now, they got the second best record in the NFC. Only trail the Lions by 1 game, as much as we talked about the Lions all season. The Vikings are pretty good, too. They are coming to Lumen Field in a couple weeks, so we'll definitely be ready for that matchup. But Cardinals, they're in first place 2 weeks ago, and now they are not. Setting up a crucial game with the Seahawks. It's definitely big in the standings. It could go either way for the Seahawks or the Cardinals. But, Bump, when you look at this head-to-head matchup, what stands out to you?
All right, let's look at the numbers. Head-to-head offense. You got the Seahawks 16th overall. The Cardinals are 11th. When it comes to running the football, the Cardinals took a step back. Last time we saw them, they were 5th overall. They are now 6th, averaging 141 per game. The Hawks are 28th, averaging 88 yards per game. When it comes to pass offense, the Hawks are number 2, 250 yards through the air, and the Cardinals are 22nd, 205 yards through the air. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but it seems like 45 yards is a lot to separate number 2 from number 22. Just my opinion. Don't know what history says. All right, points per game. The Hawks are 15th, averaging 22 points per game. And then the Cardinals are right behind them, 17th, averaging 22 points per game. Pretty even on offense if you just switch the run game and the pass game. It's like, okay, you're pretty even everywhere else, but when it comes to run and pass, there you go.
Yeah, each team clearly has a strength, at least when it comes to the box score here. Seahawks passing, Cardinals running. So that'll be a different thing that stands out. Moving forward, defensively, it's pretty close. Seahawks are climbing now. What I love is to see under 20, right? The Seahawks are now 18th in total defense. For a while, Bump, we were doing this. They were 28, 29.
Bottom of the map.
So they're definitely making strides there. The Cardinals just above them at 17th. Rush defense, the Seahawks are climbing there too. They're still allowing 127 yards per game, 21st in the NFL. They've been really good the last 4 weeks. Cardinals, a little above them as well, allowing 117 yards on the ground. That's 13th in the NFL. Pass defense, the Seahawks are 12th in the NFL, allowing 210 yards, and the Cardinals are 18th, allowing 217 yards. They're right there on points per game allowed. Seahawks allowing 22. They're allowing 21 points per game. The Seahawks, though, have definitely they've been sacked more times. 40 to 21. So that's
a little bit.
It's a little bit more. And the Seahawks have been penalized a lot more than the Cardinals. But the Seahawks have been really good in a lot of those categories as of late. So definitely should be a fun matchup by the numbers because these teams are pretty close.
The last 3 games, the Hawks have the number 6 defense overall. The last 3 games, I think they're top 12 when it comes to scoring. So, yes, you have to look at who they've been over the duration of the season. That's what these numbers are. But if you break down the last 3 games, man, they're playing at a high level.
Yeah, should be fun. I think they want to continue playing that, so we'll see how that goes coming into this matchup. Broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio, presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bump, and I feel like we just played these guys.
It feels familiar.
Yeah, let's know the history.
Know your history.
Yes, it was less than 3 weeks ago. Seahawks took on the same Arizona Cardinals. Overall, the Seahawks lead the all-time series 28-21, and the Hawks have won 6 in a row in 7 of the last 8.
Okay, I like that.
Doing the thing against the Cardinals for sure. And last game, it was a hard-fought win. It was a great win by the Seahawks. They did enough offensively when they had to. Down the stretch, they did their thing. They won 16-6. Obviously, the biggest play in that game was Kyobe Bryant's pick 6, which got him Defensive Player of the Week. Huge play in that game. Seahawks call timeout the play before. Everyone's all up in arms. Next play, Devin Witherspoon forces a bad throw from Kyler Murray. Kyobe Bryant runs it back. You know the rest of the deal. And then in that game, the Seahawks, when they absolutely needed it most, didn't have a great game offensively, but they did have a 13-play, 49-yard drive that took 8 minutes off the clock in the fourth quarter. The Seahawks hold on to win that game 16-6. So the defense has showed up. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be a similar game down in the desert coming up. And I'm excited for it to see what Leonard Williams and Big Cat can get done against these guys.
I feel like that game was, you proved it against the Rams. Like, all right, the defense is doing some things. But then the Arizona Cardinals come into town, and they just made it official. Like, we are here. We understand. We are moving. Then you handle the Jets. But it's so weird playing a team twice in 3 weeks. Like, not a lot has changed. You can literally go to the scouting report and say, okay, this is who they are, guys. All right, ain't too much change, but let's look at this Vikings film. So it should be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you can roll out a couple other little wrinkles, things like that, but you kind of are who you are at this point. You put out a lot of film at this point in the year, so should be interesting to see. But let's check in the rest of the NFC West. What's the word?
Where my soldiers at? West side! Where my soldiers at? West side! And the Seahawks are the NFC West champs again.
What's the word in the West on Hawk Talk?
The NFC West, you can look at this division in 2 ways. It's either the most competitive division in all the game, or you're saying, what the heck is going on over there? Why are there so many losses? I don't care. Seahawks at the top, 7-5 of this division. Cardinals right behind them, 6-6, and the Rams are 6-6, and the San Francisco 49ers at the bottom at 5-7. Now, they were technically already in first place, but the Seahawks are now all by themselves. They got a 1-game lead over the Cardinals and the Rams. With the win on Sunday, it essentially becomes a 3-game lead on the Cardinals. The Rams have to play the Bills on Sunday. Bless you. And the Seahawks have a huge opportunity to be in the driver's seat for a home playoff game come January. I love this game. I love it. I like the ups and the downs. I like the moves being made by teams, the schemes being tweaked.
Right.
This is what football's all about.
No question about it. At this point in the year, I mean, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, it was the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The end of that Rams game, it was that feeling. And just a couple weeks later, man, in the NFL bump, winning cures all, dog.
It sure
winning
does.
Cures all.
It was great. All right, so let's focus on these Niners. They played the Bills, and it didn't look good. I've never played in snow. I have practiced in snow. It looked horrible. The Niners didn't look comfortable. The Bills were like, this is what we do. It's like a regular Tuesday for us. What are you guys talking about? But it was a lot. It was a lot. When, like I mentioned, one team looked like they were preparing for a stretch run of the season. Deep into the playoffs, we're talking about the Bills. The Bills looked like a well-oiled machine. They were good to go. They're at home. The stadium they're building, is it going to be covered or are they keeping it outside? They better cover that thing in Buffalo.
They're not.
They're not?
The renderings, they're gonna have it where a lot of the fans are covered, but like that field's still going to be exposed.
They want that home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The first half was all Bills in this game. They led 21-3. They had a 65-yard touchdown run by James Cook, looking fast in the snow, man, tiptoeing on that thing. And a 97-yard touchdown drive, and the 49ers missed 2 field goals. Moody is the kicker's name, I believe. He was in a bad mood. The 49ers' only chance to get back in the game was on the first drive of the second half. It was 1st and goal from the Buffalo 4-yard line, but the Niners fumbled, and that was that.
Yeah, when you looked at it, it just didn't look comfortable. They looked like they were practicing in 75-degree weather all week and showed up there. And now, granted, they didn't have Nick Bosa.
Yep.
I don't think they had Trent Williams. They're totally banged up. Purdy came back, but when you looked at both those teams, one team looked like they wanted to be there, one team didn't.
Yeah.
And it was a beatdown. And this isn't me throwing shade. The Bills are a really good football team.
Yeah.
We saw what happened. We saw it first up close and personal. The Bills are a good football team.
We saw it live.
I would love to play them again, though. The way this defense is playing, I promise you it would not look as bad as it did, but
it won't be 31-10, that's for sure.
No, and things got a little worse, though, for the Niners.
What had happened?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
On IR. That's tough.
That's their season. That's their season in a nutshell. You get guys back, you're getting healthy, maybe there's a chance, and then they get banged up. But to lose your number 1 and your number 2 is unfortunate. I thought it was going to be a re-aggravation of maybe the Achilles when it came to McCaffrey, ended up being a PCL. Did you see the slow motion of it popping?
And just pop, pop.
Man, so unfortunate. Big ups Christian McCaffrey. He's had a good season or good career up to this point, and just not his year, man. So get healthy and get back.
Yeah, and their third string running back, Garendo, is actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, he broke off a 76-yarder against us.
Yes, he did. And I don't forget that. Anyway, but yeah, no, they're we'll see what happens there. But I'm just with everything that's happened there, it feels like it's just kind of the end of the road.
It's a wrap.
So. And we can say whatever we want because we're not playing them again this year.
Yeah.
So there's that. Elsewhere in the division, the Rams and the Saints. It's the only one that didn't go the Seahawks' way. The Saints were able to stay in the fight. They played hard. 4-7 ball club. Gave the Rams all they could handle. They were up 6-0 at halftime, but 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns by Matthew Stafford was the difference. Trailing 21-14, under 2 minutes left. The Saints drove all the way inside the Rams' 10-yard line, but were stopped on 4th and 3 when Derek Carr's pass was deflected by Jared Verse, who's a baller. Rams hold on for the win. Kyron Williams had 104 rushing yards on 15 carries and a touchdown. Puka and DeMarcus Robinson each had touchdowns. Stafford, pedestrian, 14-24, 183, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Kamara had 112 yards and 23 carries for the Saints. Saints did lose Taysom Hill for the season with a torn ACL, so
he just got paid too. Was it this year he got paid or last year?
I think it was last. Either way, he's got money.
He just got his money. Dang.
Unfortunate for them, but right now, I mean, just back to the division standings, the Rams aren't going away.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love, and this is just kind of pie in the sky for me, I would love for that Week 18 matchup to not matter. I'm serious.
Just roll up like, what up?
I want the Seahawks to just go on a run. I hope on the day after Christmas, this is my Christmas miracle, the Seahawks are beating down the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Weather, the snow's coming down, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're locking up the division title that night.
I like it.
Granted, that would mean they'd have to be 2 games better than the Rams. A lot of things got to happen for that.
So have you taken your family to see Santa yet?
I have not, but we will.
So when you do, whisper to Santa, I got baby girl. I got her gifts. Okay. I need this from you.
Yes. I'm all for that. If Seahawks can wrap up the division title, means we're playing football in Lumen Field in January. All for it. But let's get back to these Arizona Cardinals. Man up.
Hey, who you got?
Who you got? You know what time it is. Man up.
Man up, brother.
Man up.
Man up on Hawk Talk.
Bump. Kyler Murray. Coming to the last matchup, Kyler Murray was playing some of the best football of his career, and it wasn't close. He was the reigning offensive player of the week. He had 12 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions and 276 attempts. The last 2 weeks haven't been as good. Okay, it's been a little bit of a struggle. 2-game losing streak. He's thrown 3 interceptions and attempted more passes than he's had all season. So he's had a season-high in attempts back-to-back weeks, 37 against the Seahawks, 45 against the Vikings. He's also been sacked 6 times in the last 2 weeks, 5 of those coming in the Seahawks game. Previous 6 games, he'd only been sacked 5 times. So overall, they're doing a good job protecting Kyler. They've only given up 21 sacks, which is 6th in the NFL. He ranks 6th in completion percentage. He also has the highest QBR in the season. Overall stats, 246, 358, 2,603 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks. Also has 428 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. So, Bump, when you look at Kyler, what's the key to get him stopped? Because he's played some really good football the last couple weeks. He's been sacked a lot, and he's turning the football over. What's the key to continuing this streak for Kyler?
Well, he is one of the most athletic QBs in the game. And I was sitting there talking to Dave Wyman. He brings up a good point. He said, you got a bull rush. He goes, going underneath and over the top. It allows Kyler to kind of see what's going on and find those lanes and to go. Kyler Murray running the football is kind of like when a shooter is off and he needs to see the ball go through the net. What do? You get to the free throw line. You see the ball go through the net. You find your rhythm. That's what I feel like a scramble does for Kyler Murray. He finds a lane. Either he runs or he throws the football. It gets him back into his rhythm. Easier said than done. Contain him. What do you have, like 9 rush yards against the Seahawks the first time? Yeah. I doubt he's going to be held to just 9, but you can't have those explosives. So, yeah, let's do that and not let Trey McBride. What do you have, a $155 against the Seahawks the first time around? Something crazy like that. I understand you're going to take something away, but let's not let McBride just go nuts like he did last time.
Yeah, no question about it. And I'll read his stats for the first matchup. It was 24-37, 285, no touchdowns, 1 pick. That was a pick 6, and 2 carries for 9 yards. So if the Seahawks can repeat it, looks pretty good. Holding them to 6 points, pretty good.
If he throws the ball 40 times, I'm good with that. Because that means the run ain't there. And when you put the ball in the air like that, bad things tend to happen. That's why he had 2 interceptions last game against the Vikings. Let's look at our quarterback, Geno Smith. Had another solid game, 20 of 31, 206 yards and 1 touchdown, but no turnovers.
Come on, son.
First time he had been turnover-free since Week 7 against the Falcons. Geno's looking to continue his dominance against the Cardinals since becoming the starter in 2022. He's 5-0 against AZ. He's 102 for 148. That's 68% completion percentage. 1,134 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Last game against these guys, he was 22 of 31, 254, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Coming into this game against the Cardinals, Geno still needs 1 300-yard passing game to tie Russell Wilson for the most 300-yard passing games in a single season in franchise history with 5. Right now, Geno's in 5th place in franchise history in attempts, completions, passing yards, and passing touchdowns. He got 66 of them things, man. I like Geno. I like where he is. Last week, he was responsible with the football. He put together a drive. I don't know if we can qualify that as a game-winning drive, but it set things up. All right, he put his team in position to win. He just needs to be the guy that we've seen over the past few weeks. I like where he is. He's going to need some help in the run game, obviously.
Right.
But he's doing all right, man. Through 11 weeks in the NFL, he's 3rd in passing yards, 5th in completion percentage, 2nd in completions, 2nd in attempts.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. And the most important thing you said there was taking care of the football. You know, honestly, for me, you've said it, I've heard you describe it for years. If he's throwing about 25 to 30 times for 250, couple touchdowns, that's the perfect game because that means we're balanced, we're running the football, we're doing different things, and we got to get the run game going for the Seahawks team, definitely. They're close. They got to get it done against this Cardinals team, so we'll see what will happen there. Speaking of the running games and running backs, James Conner. Now, we got to break down their rushing attack because it is one of the best in the league. James Conner himself having a great year. He's got 773 yards on the ground, 15th in the NFL. He's already got 4 games where he's rushed for over 100 yards. Cardinals 3-1 in those games. And honestly, if guys like Saquon and Derrick Henry weren't having these resurgent years coming back. We'd probably be talking about a guy like James Conner more. But those guys have really taken all the shine for running backs this year, rightfully so. I'm not saying they shouldn't.
They earned it.
But I'm just saying Conner is a good back. 2024 marks the 5th time in his career where he's posted 1,000 scrimmage yards. 4th time he's done that in 4 seasons in Arizona. Cardinals, talk about their whole team rushing attack. Obviously, you include Kyler Murray in that. They've rushed for 1,697, 12 touchdowns on 330 carries. They're averaging 5.14 per carry. Arizona's 6th in the NFL in rushing and 2nd in the NFL in rushing average at 5.1 a carry. So they're doing the thing. And facing the Vikings, who were number 1 rush defense in the league, they had a pretty good game. They rushed for 154 yards on 31 carries, more than double rushing yards the Vikings were allowing per game at 74. So they did that against the number 1 rushing defense. So that, again, reminds you that they're a good football team at running the ball. That's what they do. But hold on a minute. What happened last time? The Seahawks shut them down. James Conner probably had the worst game in his NFL career. Okay? He was held to just 7 yards, Bump.
That's nuts.
I mean,
that's a typo. That ain't real.
Excuse me, sorry. 8 yards on 7 carries. Historically,
that makes sense.
Let me give you the one.
There you go.
No, and James Conner can do the thing, and the Seahawks held them to 49 yards rushing as a team. So the Seahawks have the blueprint. It'll be really interesting to see what they do schematically, offensively, to try to figure some stuff out because they just got dominated up front. Yeah. Leonard Williams, Boye Mafe, all the guys were getting in on the action. So we'll see if the Seahawks can have an equal performance up front.
Equal will be great. Somewhere near that, I'll accept.
Equal might be a little greedy. That might be greedy.
And you mentioned their run game against the Vikings. They just do a good job implementing their tight ends in their run game, right? Whether they're on the wing, pulling a guard and a tight end, another tight end in the backfield, leading the charge as a fullback, something that we've seen the Hawks try to do. Their gap scheme is great, which allows Kyler Murray to run that RPO system, influence the backers, and throw the football. They got it going. I had to check and make sure I wasn't tripping. I'm watching the film, and I'm thinking the Vikings are great against the run. Maybe I misremembered that, but no, you're right, man. Vikings one of the best against the run, and the Cardinals handled them when it came to that. Still lost the game, but ran the football. All right, let's look at another matchup. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. against that secondary, man. Coming into this year, most of the attention was on Marvin Harrison. He was the son of a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. He has that pedigree.
Rightfully so.
Went to Ohio State University, wide receiver U. We're thinking, all right, he's going to be great. And he has been good. Leads the team in touchdowns with 7 of them things. But Trey McBride, he's been great. But I knew this, though, because I watched college football, Colorado State. And when they drafted him, I go, you guys better watch after this young man. So far this year, he leads the team in receptions with 73, yards with 781. He's one of the best tight ends in the games right now. Second amongst tight ends when it comes to receiving yards, and third when it comes to receptions. McBride has at least 5 receptions in 8 of 11 games played in 2024. Only Brock Bowers has more production than that. And Brock is a good ball player.
Yeah, Brock can play.
He's a different kind of tight end. You see Brock play, he moves a bit different, but McBride can do his thing. McBride has 2 100-yard performances this season and 4 in his career. This young man can go. Not only is he deceptively quick, he can move a little bit, but he's a great blocker, and that just influences defense. I was talking to Stacey Ross, and I said once A.J. Barner is just a dominant blocker, his pass numbers are going to go up too, because he's a key. Linebacker safeties, they key in on tight ends at times and say, all right, what's he doing? Down blocking, boom, okay, I'm going to play the run. And now you slip him out in the flat or an over route, and he's wide open. I think that is what helps Trey McBride get the ball, and he's wide open sometimes.
Well, you mentioned that, yeah, it's definitely your run key. If you're looking at him, your eyes come off, and now you're in trouble.
Yep.
And he gave the Seahawks trouble. The Seahawks shut the Cardinals down last week or 2 weeks ago, but him specifically was a problem. And here's the thing, man. In Week 12 against the Hawks, he hauled in 12 receptions for a season-high 133 yards. He followed that up with 12 receptions, 96 yards against the Vikings. With those 2 outings, McBride became the first tight end in the history of the National Football League with 12 receptions in back-to-back games.
Crazy.
So, yeah, he's doing his thing. To your point, he's a complete nightmare. Coach McDonald spoke about it a lot this year that, like, he unfortunately was on the receiving end of his coming out party last year when he was defensive coordinator of the Ravens. So he knows what this guy can do. He still had a great game the first time. So it'll be interesting to see how the Seahawks kind of account for that bump. And at some point, if you're shutting Conner and Murray down in the run game, You can't stop everything. If McBride gets out a couple times, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, no, you're not stressing it. Like, even the first time they played when McBride did have his day, the defense was like, look, we got to give up something. If we're going to shut down the run, I guess we'll give it up to the big boy. All right, finally, we finally get to talk about the number 4 pick in the draft.
Yes.
Right, Marvin Harrison, who's having himself a good season as well. He's first when it comes to TD receptions on this team with 7. He's tied for second when it comes to 100-yard games with 2. He's 5th in receiving yards, 606, and tied for 5th in receptions with 41. He came in polished and ready to go.
Yeah.
I think the struggle with him were the off-field stuff, trying to get his deal done with Fanatics and finding his way into this offense. And it's been a rough transition for him, but you can see he's starting to settle in, man. He leads all rookies this season with 7 touchdown receptions and tied for 6th in the NFL overall. He's the Cardinals' second leading receiver, and he's doing it. He's settled in. He has a nice relationship with Kyler Murray. He had a big game. We had, 3 or 4 touchdowns in one game. He's going to be just fine in this league.
Yeah, those are 2 guys you're going to have to shut down. And looking at the Seahawks secondary, the confidence they're playing with right now, Julian Love, Kyobe Bryant, Devin Witherspoon, Reek Woolen is having a lot of quiet, really good football games. Then you add in, different things that we're doing in all these packages. I feel good about it. Rayshon Jenkins coming in. I think they're up for the challenge, especially the Seahawks 12th in passing defense, allowing just 210 yards per game. So I like what we're doing there. Broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio, presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. And this NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Seattle Seahawks. With premium noise cancellation, you're in the zone, no distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones. Bump, we'll take it to the last matchup here. Seahawks receivers, DK, JSN, Tyler Lockett taking on Budda Baker in this secondary. JSN, week after week after week, stack. Coach McDonald talks about stacking wins. JSN has been stacking weeks. He's been killing the game. During weeks 9 through 12, JSN has 367 yards, which is 3rd most in a 3-game span in franchise history. JSN leading the Seahawks in receptions, yards, and receiving touchdowns. He's 11th in the NFL when it comes to receiving yards at 829, 9th in the NFL when it comes to receptions at 70. He needs just 1 receiving touchdown to set a career high. He also needs just 171 yards for his first career 1,000-yard season. And he'd only be the 10th receiver in the history of the Seahawks to do that. So once you start doing that, you're in some special company. He's already set a single season high in receiving yards and receptions. So JSN doing his thing. I expect him to continue to do what he's been doing all year.
Yeah, keep rolling. And they're designing plays to get him the football. That's how you know they're loving what he's doing at practice, in the film room, obviously on Sundays.
Right.
Keep feeding this young man. DK, he's back. His production slowed down a little bit, right? 15 receptions and 195 yards in 3 games. He hasn't been lighting it up, but he's had some crucial catches, man. Last week, a couple crucial catches. He's averaging 15.3 yards per reception, which is 7th in the NFL. That lets you know that he is a deep field threat. He might not get the deep ball or the deep reception, but he's putting pressure on those safeties. Holla at DK. 50 receptions, 763 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the year. What about Tyler, man? What you seen out of Tyler?
Well, Tyler's still Tyler. It's just, I think the way things have shaken out with the emergence of JSN and DK and different things that we're doing, and the offense has played okay. They haven't had long possessions. They haven't dominated on the score. So his production has slowed down a little bit this year. He's not having a bad year by any means. 41 receptions, 511 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's second in every single category in the history of the Seahawks. Like his standing here. He's a Ring of Honor guy. That's all established, said and done. But the crazy thing is, in the last 3 games, Tyler's only had 7 receptions for 55 yards and 0 touchdowns. That's wild.
It is.
Because we've seen that in a half, however many times. So it'll be interesting to see what Tyler is able to do the next couple weeks. I know he is due for a big-time performance because he's just too good to do that. So I would love to see him get involved a little bit in the pass game this weekend. We've seen him do damage against these Cardinals before. We've seen him down there. He had that 200-yard game a couple years ago. So we've seen it. We know how good he is. I'm excited to see. Hopefully Tyler can kind of get back and do what we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah, Tyler, he's due for a game. And why not this week?
Why not?
And why not do it against the Washington native, Budda Baker. As much as you don't want to like him because he plays on a different team, you like and respect this dude, man. Obviously went to Bellevue, went to UW, and now is a top 3 safety in the league this year. 114 tackles, is second amongst DBs, and 6th in the NFL overall. This is his 5th 100-yard or 100 tackle season. Budda Baker, he flies around. He plays big. He's not very big. He will blitz from depth 10 to 12 yards and get to your quarterback. It's ridiculous. The intensity and just awareness that he plays with, you hardly see on the football field, and he's doing it against the best in the world.
Yeah, their color analyst, Ron Wolfley, joined the pregame show last time we played them, and he talked about his motor and how you look at his stature, his size, I'm bigger than Budda Baker.
Yeah.
But they're like, when you're on that team, you feel like if this guy is throwing his neck out there for everything, like I have no excuse.
None at all.
And the energy he plays with, we've seen that. If you're familiar with Budda Baker, you've
Love
seen
watching him.
A lot of that. So he's the guy the Seahawks offense definitely needs to know where number 3's at on the field. But we've come to that time of the show. Let's tell you how the Seahawks are going to get it done again, path to victory.
At the 45, waits for the snap. Michael Dixon puts it down. That kick is away, and that kick is good! The Seahawks win! It's good!
It's a path to victory on Hawk Talk.
We know what it is, Bump. We started the show talking about it. The Seahawks have an amazing opportunity to take control of the NFC West with a win on Sunday. And it's pivotal, Bump, because you win this game, you have the tiebreaker over Arizona, and you essentially create a 3-game lead over them. And it's just checking off boxes, kind of making up for a gaffe against the Rams early in the year, early against the 49ers. So they have a huge opportunity on Sunday to really take control, and we can really start thinking about hosting a playoff game in January.
Come on. And it's not on accident. It's been marinating. The defense has been molding and starting to figure out what McDonald wants. Since week 9, this defense, they're 5th in the NFL in points allowed, 17.5. 5th when it comes to yards allowed, right under 300. 5th when it comes to yards per game, rush yards per game, 84. And 6th when it comes to first downs allowed, 18.8. Come on now. Just be who you've been since week 9.
Yeah, and honestly, it's more of the same. I mean, how are we going to do it? We talked about the first matchup. What'd you do? You shut down Kyler Murray. You got to slow him down. You got to contain, be really disciplined in how you rush that man. We talked about it earlier. Talked about bull rush and interior up front. Fade that pocket down. If you're someone like Spoon and you're going to blitz him, blitz at the right angle. Having all the speed that Spoon has definitely helps with that. But no, force him into bad decisions, right? If they're going to throw the ball that many times, he's bound to have a couple interceptions. He had a crazy streak coming into it. Has turned the ball over the last couple weeks, so that's a big thing there. And then you got to stop the run. It's a tall task to ask to stop them the way you did last time again on the road, but you need a similar effort. Maybe not 49 yards, but they definitely can't have a resurgence of what they did last week against Minnesota.
No more McBride. He will make some plays, but come on, 12 receptions. Let's limit that. I'll take 8. I'll take 7 at this point.
For like 48.
Yeah. And offensive line, let's do your thing. We have some changes on that offensive line. Guys are getting healthy. Maybe you put together another good game. But the offensive line, we're still waiting for that massive run game to get going. It is there. It is close. I believe in you. Let's get that going.
Come on. Need it. We need it. It's going to happen. The last couple weeks when they really need to get a couple run successful plays, they've had it. So it's definitely there. It can be had. The Seahawks, man, a win here can really get you in good position for the NFC West title. That's going to do it for us. Remember, you can catch us anywhere. SiriusXM, YouTube on the Seahawks Press Pass channel, Seahawks.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser. Thanks for listening. Getting you ready for hopefully a Seahawks win against the Cardinals on Sunday. We'll be back with you on Monday, breaking it all down. This has been Hawk Talk.